Joe Beermaster here. I'm going to show you how to sand a bumper cover for a vehicle. This is a 2015 Chevy Camaro. And I'm going to show you how to sand the replacement bumper cover. There's a correct way to do it and a wrong way to do it. Now it depends on where you get the bumper from. If it's an OEM original manufacturer's bumper, you can sand it with 600 to 400 wet sanding. Wet sanding is when you use a piece of paper that you can get wet, use a little water, and it keeps the sandpaper clean. But on this one, this is an aftermarket bumper cover. The insurance company allows these imitation bumper covers. They're a lot cheaper and normally don't fit as well, and they're not as good, so you have to follow special instructions. And this one has a water-based primer on it, so you have to handle it different. And on this, I took a picture of the instructions. They want you to sand it with 1200 wet sand and gray scuffy. Gray is not as coarse as the red scuffy, but I usually use an 800 wet sanding paper and use gray scuffy. And you don't really want to break through on these cheap bumper covers. If you do it properly, it will hold up. You want to use light soap and the water. I put it in a little water bottle. You want to sand it. I'm just going to do this little area right here. You got to get in all the crevices everywhere. Now to get into the crevices, we have a scuffy pad.
It's also good to use a little soap in the water because you can't put Prepsol on it. It'll melt the primer.
Right, on these waterborne bumper covers, which like most of the aftermarket ones are, you've got to handle them, a little more gentle. This is a gentle scuffy pad. It puts a little abrasion on it. It gets in here, gets into all these crevices here that you can't get with the sandpaper.
If you put too deep a scratch into this primer, it tends to lift.
And you don't want that to happen, especially if you spend the time painting it. And on these cheap aftermarket bumper covers that the insurance companies push, there's usually an instruction on the inside. And it tells you in here on the inside how they want you to do it. I already took a picture of it. So when you're scuffing it, you want to make sure you get all the edges, all these edges here, all down the side, because if you don't get one spot, the paint can lift. And you do not want the paint to lift after especially after you paint it and you install it. So we're going to work that, keep it wet. This is just a rough idea of how you do it. Now normally after it's all scuffed and we're getting it ready for paint, we wipe it off with Prepsol. It's a cleaner product like this.
But you can't use that on the waterborne bumpers because it lifts.
Yeah, this will cause...
It'll delaminate the primer.
Right. We don't want that to happen on these cheaper bumpers. So once we're done, it's all sanded, we're going to soap and water, and we're going to hose it off. We're going to hit it with a sponge, clean it real nice, and then we're going to tack it, and it's ready for paint. So when you get these aftermarket bumpers, you have to do it with extra care. With OEM, you can use a heavier grit sandpaper, heavier scuffy pad, and then we'll use Prepsol and an adhesion promoter on top of it before we paint. With the cheaper bumper covers, we'll use soap and water to keep it clean. Clean it before you paint it. And that's it. You want to make sure it's dry, then you can start refinishing it. Joe Beermaster.